on Irish News Radio. Today is Wednesday, so we're going to have our Salmon Knowledge of Wednesday. And unfortunately, we don't have the wonderful Elvis on today. So we're going to talk about what apostate is. An apostate is somebody who leaves Islam, whether they were born in an Islamic country or they entered into Islam and have left. Now, the sentence for leaving Islam is death. So we're going to talk about this wonderful lucky girl from Saudi who escaped. A very clever girl. She got on, she was going to be forced marriage, which again, none of these are unusual in Islamic countries or families. So now you got to remember, they don't have passports or money or anything like that, because females have no rights. They're like 2.5 times less than a man. So they have no rights. They have guardianships. They can't travel. They can't do anything in Islamic countries. But this girl, she was able to get out of the guardianship, find out, took his mobile, so he wasn't able to connect other Muslims to alert them to know that she had been in another country, to bring her back. And the other smart thing is she got on social media. So we go through what she did. She got on social media and she screamed, and she told that she will need asylum because if she's sent back, she will be killed. Now, she has fatwas on her head. Now, fatwas, for those who don't understand what fatwas is, it's like a bounty, and they're given from imams. Imams is a bit like, I suppose the nearest thing you could really understand is a priest, but it's nothing like a priest. They have completely different jobs. Anyway, I'm not going to go into what an imam is right now, but anyway, so she has what was called as fatwas on her head. Now, I've known women who've had 5 fatwas, ex-Muslims, apostates, who've had 5 fatwas or more. Now, if you have a fatwa, it's Muslims' duty to kill you if you have a fatwa, because it's their duty in Islam to kill you. So when you're around as an ex-Muslim or apostate, you're very much in danger if you fatwas on your head. So she has, I don't know how many at this stage, but I'd imagine quite a few. So she was very much in danger even in non-Muslim countries, never mind in Islamic, but Islamic she's dead. But what I want to talk about is, well, the left who never talk about these sort of things. The left go on about it as if Islam is a bloody race, as if Muslims are a race. Well, this is a reality of women in Islamic countries. This is what they go through. And the fools don't talk about it. But they want to talk about, it's wonderful to put on the hijab and whatever. It's so stupid, it drives me mad. And this is the real life. So this young girl, anyway, she had to bar herself into a hotel and lock herself in and get on social media until she got noticed. And women get killed in Islamic countries for absolutely any reason. There doesn't even need to be a reason to kill a woman. It's like, it's less than killing an animal. They're worth nothing. She was granted temporary protection after barricading herself in a hotel room and fighting back on social media. She's 18 years of age. Now, the Thai immigration took her passport, and her passport was confiscated. She ran away to avoid a marriage, which, as I said before, a forced marriage, which is kind of what happens if you're a female born in an Islamic, not even an Islamic country, in an Islamic family, in an Islamic anything. This is what's going to happen to you, a female. You have no rights. She was stopped after her male guardian filled in a complaint form. Now, male guardians is every female in Islamic countries or even non-Islamic countries are given guardians, male guardians, and mainly like countries like Saudi who have strong Sharia laws. Obviously in the West it's a little bit difficult to do, but they still do in Muslim families. They still, females have male guardians. So he filled out, he complained about that she didn't have permission to travel. Now, see, females have to have permission from their male guardians. The male guardians are usually their cousins or uncles, or usually related to the males who are related to them, but they've complete control over them of what they can and can't do, even whether they live or die. But any male can really say whether a woman lives or die in Islam, because women, as I said, are worth less than a goat. So he didn't give her permission to travel, so they stopped her in Thailand, and they intended to send her to her back to her death, and she would have got a horrific death, because they would have made a marker on her because she was on social media explaining what will happen to her if she went back. So they would have really given her a death to remember, so to stop other women doing this, because they really need to stop, because there's been quite a few now, some, not quite a few, there's a few who've got out who are clever enough who've got out, but it's particularly hard. You've no passport, no money, really have to trick your guardianship. Now what she did was she stole his phone, because there's an actual tracker on phones, on males' phones, which was actually on Google and Google Play, where they actually have, there's a name for this app where they track females. And she was clever enough to take his phone, and this is one of the reasons that saved her life. Also, she got on social media, and she spoke in English, and she pleaded for her life on Twitter. And she said she was not leaving until she got the UNHCR, and she was given asylum, and she screamed this in English. Now the UN is mainly Islamic, so they would have, if she wasn't on social media, sent her back, because the UN is ran by Saudi. So, you know, they would have actually sent her back and tricked her into, and she would have got a horrific death, and you know the rest of the world would have been told that, I don't know, she crashed in a car or some stupid stuff like that, because when it comes to Islam they just lie and lie and lie. But the difference with her, there was a global frenzy, lucky for her, and people all around the world were writing about this. And then Thailand said that they will not force her to leave. Then her father Mohammed, a Saudi government official, flew over, which obviously she was terrified, but other countries would not condemn this. You know, the UK Foreign and Commonwealth Office declined to comment on it. Like, a lot of countries refuse to comment on it because it's Islam. So nobody wants to, you know, admit the guardianship, which is complete slavery. It's ownership of females. But, you know, no countries are actually even condemning it or speaking out, because, you know, oh, it's such a lovely race. It's not even a bloody race. It's absolutely a disgusting ideology that destroys women's lives and children's and animals. It destroys everything, every part of civilization. Like, you know, the problem when you don't stop understanding right from wrong, you become evil. And this is what a lot of Muslim males are, and even females. You know, they don't know what right or wrong is, and neither do the left, because they're so bloody brain dead. So anyway, she was lucky enough, she got out. And there's been a few other women who've tried to flee. A lot of them got caught and sent back and faced the so-called, you know, honor killings. So there's so much honor violence, even in Western countries, that people, you know, they don't even talk about it too much, because, you know, you're afraid to be called a racist. But honor killing is terrible. Like, it's absolutely shocking. It's because she refuses to get married, she refuses to wear the hijab, she refuses to do something, or she just cooked the dinner wrong. You can be killed for anything because you're female, and that is the truth. But, you know, the left would rather go on, it's such a beautiful culture, when it's not a bloody culture, it's not a race. It's an ideology, but just so stupid. Anyway, another case of a 24-year-old, Dina Al. She attempted to make asylum in Australia in 2017. Unfortunately, Dina Al attempted to make asylum in Australia in 2017. Unfortunately, she was apprehended in Manila Airport in the Philippines and dragged back. Her mouth was taped shut. and her arms and legs bound. And they knew that, and they allowed her back. Imagine her sitting on a plane and her legs and arms bound. So they say that she was never heard of again. You can guarantee she went back and faced a serious, horrific death, a painful, torturous death to stop other Islamic women. And even with this, a lot of Islamic women know and have tried to get out and get caught. Most of them, unfortunately, get caught because of the male guardianship. And a lot of stupid other Westerners don't realise what they're doing. They're just so, oh, it's a lovely, and they'd send them back or give information because they don't want to be racist. So they'd give information, and these girls end up back to the death sentence. And even when, they're screaming out for all these refugees and migrants, what they don't understand is women who've ran from Islamic countries. And I've met a few, and there have been a few in safe houses and that I've met. And this is how I know so much about Islam. And the funny thing is that, the most thing is that they're terrified, is that other Muslims are coming in and that they may be recognised from their own village, their own towns, into these. There was one victim of ISIS. She was in Germany, and she was there, and she saw she saw 2 or 3 men who had tortured her in Germany. When she got to Germany, and they had been taking these so-called asylum seekers in, they're taking in ISIS, they're taking in anybody. And they're putting everyone's lives in danger, including these poor women who know what they're talking about, who've escaped for it, and now their lives are back in danger again. It's crazy, crazy times, sad and crazy times we're living in. But I do believe Europe is heading very quickly into an Islamic state. I do believe Turkey will get into the EU. I do believe whether England or the United Kingdom get out of the EU or not, I do believe, because they have a Home Secretary who's a Muslim, that he will make sure majority of people getting into the UK are Muslim. And because they have huge population that are Muslim, they will well protected, and they already have 100 Shia streets and something like 80 Shia courts where Islamic law is being given. And that means that women have no rights. Their children get taken. All the man has to do is say, I divorce you 3 times. And she loses everything. She has no right to her children. She's no right to money. She's nothing. She's out in the streets. They've no right. And because their marriage isn't seen as recognised really in the UK, and they can marry four women and have many sex slaves, and then he just has to say, I divorce you 4 times. Then he can pick up a new wife. Those social houses and everything goes to him. It doesn't go to the woman. It's a very bad situation, and because the leftists really won't deal with it, they're like, blinkers on, we don't want to look at it, and they're not helping anyone. They're particularly not helping Muslim women. They are putting Muslim women's lives in danger by their stupidity. And I've said it before, innocence is not the same as ignorance. And they are purely ignorant when it comes to Islam. And they refuse to open their eyes because they're so stupid to see that a sheet over your head is not a race. It doesn't matter whether you're born in Saudi or Iceland, whether you're as white as the driven snow or as black as whatever. Islam is Islam. It has nothing to do with the colour or where you're born, what country you're born, what culture you're from. Your identity is Islam. It takes over your culture, everything. From no matter what country you are, a Muslim will always say they're Muslim first. They won't say they're Irish. They won't say they're French. They won't say they're German. They won't say they're from Saudi. They will say they're Muslim. Now, if they come from a Muslim country, they may do that. But Muslims generally will always put Islam first. Islam is their identity, not their country. Again, thank you so much for listening on The Bon Ray Show on ITV.ie and Irish News Radio.
You are listening to Irish News Radio at irishnews.net. Email news@irishnews.net.